but sometimes there is like a small memory technique just coming up to the surface and then going back again. And when it does, it usually helps a lot. So for example, there's one country in Europe that if you go into a Swedish second grade class and ask them to point to different countries on the map, there's one European country that everyone can point to except for Sweden. An idea of which? Italy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool that it also worked here. Yeah, that's right. So Italy. And why is it so easy to remember where Italy is? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looks like a shoe or a boot or a high heel shoe kicking a football or whatever. So once you've heard this, once someone has said to you, yeah, look at Italy, it looks like a high heel shoe, then you'll never forget it. It's every time you see it, you say, yeah, that's Italy. And if you want to look for it, you look for it and you say, yeah, that's the shoe, that's Italy. But since this is working so extremely well and you don't even have to put an effort into it, why settle with Italy? You can obviously use this for memorizing all the countries and all the rest of the geography of the world with a little bit of imagination. So to take an example, here is South America. Looks like this on the map, and with a little bit of modification, you can make it look like this. And I don't know if it ever occurred to you, but Argentina, it looks really a lot like a guy who's got a chicken club in his eye. And he's obviously yelling "Arg" because of this, so same as the pirate, Argentina. Chile looks like a chili pepper, very convenient. Paraguay sort of looks like a baby in the middle there, and you might imagine that this baby is looking for his parents, so Paraguay. Colombia looks like a cool cow, etc. So when you start using this technique, it's quite easy to memorize all the geography of the world without much effort, and it's also quite a lot of fun. And you can use the same technique to memorize like bones in the body or different organs and stuff. Just look at the shape and see what it reminds you of and then associate it somehow to an image. It even works with words and vocabulary. It's sort of the same as with the names. You take something that sounds similar to it and create an image of that. And then you can memorize a lot of vocabulary very quickly. I've taken a sort of a tough example here to show how you can tackle these. So this is a word, Isishiyaga-Lumbili. Anyone who knows which language this belongs to? Swahili, somebody saying? I think that's a good guess. I don't know much about this at all actually, but I only know this word because my girlfriend was doing voluntary work in South Africa where they spoke Zulu, which this is from, among other languages of course. So this is a Zulu word, and anyone who's got any idea what it could mean? 8? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we have some Zulu knowledge here anyway. Yeah, exactly. So it was a little clue at the side there as well. The first thing that may strike you is that it seems very inconvenient to have such a long word for a digit, but apparently they do. And there's probably some poor guy who's got a phone number 88888 and has to tell about that the whole morning when he's meeting people. But if you anyway want to memorize this, then you can of course break it down into smaller pieces. It sounds like something that you can picture as an image. So I'll probably start by creating the trigger image or like the base image, something that looks like an 8. It might be a racetrack or something. And then on this I'll place these other images symbolizing the pronunciation of the word or how it's spelled. So I'll probably start here with easy and just think ironically that like it's ironical that this word is so easy. So easy, and then she yaga lombili. It sounds sort of like she yoga lamb Billy. So you might imagine a girl sitting on this racetrack doing yoga with a lamb named Billy. And then you have the image of this. So it might seem a little bit like it takes a lot of work, but once you got into it, you can do it quite automatically, and then you'll have a lot of these images, and it's very easy to see it and to remember it, and then you won't forget it so easily. And especially if you start with shorter words, of course, it's easier, and then go on to longer and longer ones. So now you know 8 in Zulu, Isishi Yaga Lombili. And you may think that this is like the worst example that I could find, but actually there are of course a lot worse things that you can try and memorize. For example, is there someone here who's been to Bangkok? Yeah? A few people? Did you know that Bangkok actually has a much longer name, a longer official name? No? No, it's they don't use it so much for obvious reasons. Bangkok, which seems to be such a short and easy name to remember, is actually named this. And I'm going to give it a try. With the wrong pronunciation, of course. Krung tep maha nakon amon ratana kusin mahintara ayutaya maha diluk popno parat rachatani burirum udom rachani vet maha satana mon piman awatan satit sakatatia bitsanu kamprasit. Thank you. So this was just a lot of images placed on a memory palace, and then I just ran through it and read them all in sequence. So that shows that you can memorize almost any kind of nonsense as well with this technique.